Stone Cold Steve Austin uses terrible fighting and worse acting to save a small town from Danny Trejo's biker gang. We watched Recoil for our final WrestleMania movie of the year, today on Nothing Movies. R.I.P. superstar Billy Graham. He died like 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was the inspiration for Hulk Hogan and the super flamboyant wrestlers that we all know and love today. Yeah.
We're starting things off on a dour note.
We are, and we're going to maintain that dour note as we talk about today's movie.
Oh. I didn't think it was that depressing, but well, whatever. You've set the table,
I
Jameson.
certainly have.
You have, and it's a dismal meal that we're sitting down in front of. You know what? It is a somber tone because it is the final episode of WrestleMania.
It is
for this 2023. Year. So unfortunately,
by the time you listen to us, we'll have gotten just under the door.
Yep. Oh yeah. There was some last minute finagling going around here. I mean, not even that. We just got delayed because I got shingles.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't do any work for an entire week, and I probably should have. So whatever. We're not. We're not getting back onto that train. It's a bad train.
We've already covered that topic,
yeah.
and you know, it's our fault for deciding that we were going to push ourselves and try to deliver 3 episodes every May.
Every time we try to do a theme month or whatever, it's always our fault.
Life has other plans.
Welcome back.
Yes.
However you wish to self-identify to Nothing Movies, where we ask the question, the fuck is this? It's a podcast where we go through an actor's filmography and choose the most anonymous and culturally untalked about movies that they've made and decide whether or not they've got a certain something, or if they're just a whole lot of nothing. I'm Cass Lesgard.
You sure are. And I'm Jameson Rafter.
You are correct. And today we are closing the book on this year's WrestleMania with 2011's Recoil. And Jameson, back when we started doing this show, we started watching these bizarre, terrible movies. The hardest part of watching the movies was the recoil. You know, like just knowing that like the pain was coming. But you know, you watch enough movies and you get used to the recoil after a while. Now it doesn't even hurt me. Now I can watch a movie like this. It doesn't even hurt me. It doesn't even leave a bruise.
Saving that title drop explanation for the 11th hour as this movie does, but we're getting it right out of the top.
First hour, absolutely.
First hour,
I love it. I love an 11th hour title drop. Frankly, I didn't need this movie to do a title drop at all.
No.
But it's like the second to last thing that happens, and I'm like, I just assumed you put a bunch of generic action movie titles in a hat
this was
picked one. I didn't need an in-universe explanation as to why your movie is called Recoil.
Yeah, this was an AI-generated action movie title.
From 2011.
From 2011.
So the AI is like a Simon.
Predictive text. There was a point during this movie where I was like, why the fuck are they calling this Recoil? You know, like just the thought of having to talk about this makes me recoil. One of us had to get
2
there.
2 points.
Yeah. In the bag.
Yeah.
And then it went there and I was like, oh, well, that's a fucking flimsy excuse to call your movie Recoil.
Well, credits.
We'll get to
Who cares? The movie's over. Literally, the movie's over. We're scrolling the credits right here. Our wrestler du jour today. We've talked about some old favorites on this season. I know our first episode was ostensibly about Jesse Ventura, but we also spent literally half that time also talking about Roddy Piper, someone we've talked about a lot. We've talked about Hulk Hogan a couple of times on this podcast.
We had opportunities to talk about Big Show and Ed Leslie.
All 2 minutes that he was in that movie.
That's right.
Big Show will get his own big episode.
He'll get the biggest show of all.
Indeed. It'll be our longest episode ever. Put it on the books now.
Oh, boy.
No, but we've never discussed Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No.
One of the biggest names in wrestling. Certainly from the era that I was aware and watching wrestling.
Legitimately possibly the biggest superstar to ever be in professional wrestling, if not like second only to Mick Foley as like the most beloved wrestler of all time. Yeah.
That's such an beloved.
Yeah.
Is such an interesting term to ascribe to this man. And maybe you can speak on it a little bit more than I can, just because my knowledge of wrestling is next to nil. But he's such an off-putting, dude, look, absolutely no. We're gonna get into all the details here, but absolutely, and I'll front load this by saying no offense levied at Mr. Austin, but he just has the appearance of the scariest looking motherfucker on the planet. And everything that I have gleaned from this man, because I'm trying to look it up, and look, all professional wrestlers, let's say they're complicated individuals.
Okay.
Maybe not all of them, but certainly all of them, if you do enough digging. Certainly, a lot of the wrestlers we've covered, like Mr. Hogan from the last episode, if you do enough digging, there's a few things in there you don't necessarily want to ascribe. I am blown away by the fact that I cannot find any evidence to suggest the fact that Steve Austin isn't a bad dude.
No.
In point of fact, he has his own podcast.
Yes, a very good podcast.
And he
gives you a lot of the nuance. He does play-by-plays of his old matches and shit, and he goes into a lot of the nuance of the sport and the psychology behind some of the matches.
The thing that I want to spotlight is, I believe back in 2014, the question of same-sex marriage got brought up, and he went on this incredible profanity-laden rant coming out as pro same-sex marriage, and it just coming from the mouth of
the Texas rattlesnake,
the most redneck-looking motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. I just want to read a small section here. What also chaps my ass, some of these churches have the high horse that they get on and say, we as a church do not believe in that. Which one of these motherfuckers talked to God? And God said that same-sex marriage was a no-can-do. I've got some damn good friends and they're gay, and I'm for same-sex marriage. I don't think that there is a God that says you can't do this and you can't do that. Which is great, but it did bring up the question in my head. Now I want to see what the gay friends of Steve Austin are like. What must it be like to be the gay friend of Steve Austin? I think we need a reality show where they just go around and they just do things together.
I bet you dollars to donuts they are professional wrestlers who were heavily in the closet.
Right. That actually does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, get out of that closet.
Very big open secret, yeah.
And get on Bravo.
And don't judge a book by its cover.
No.
Don't be like Kaz.
Excuse me. I'm allowed to have opinions on this podcast about the LGBT community.
Yes,
a community that I am a part of. I can make the stereotypes. I had a whole bit here where the gay friend was going around to shops and Stone Cold was just following him in complete silence. And it's all like, Steve, what do you think of this top? And it's all like, let me tell you something, brother, that looks fucking adorable.
Oh, I don't think Steve Austin would call people brother.
I don't know. Well, because you threw me off track. I had a whole bunch of lines lined up here. Steve Austin, not without his faults, of course.
Sure,
there was that issue where he had some domestic assault charges levied against him, which is bad. I feel like we should go on the record as saying do not be violent to your partner under any circumstance. He did take responsibility for it. He turned himself into the police. Again, I'm not saying give him a cookie or anything for that. I should not be. I feel like last episode I was defending Hogan's racist tendencies, and now I'm gonna do the same with Stone Cold.
If you're gonna beat up your spouse, make sure you turn in.
Make sure you do the responsible thing. Look, don't. You know what? I have to do it. I have to frame it the same way I framed Hogan.
You just have to.
If you must beat your wife,
given no other choice.
First don't. The first thing, don't. If you must, turn yourself into the police as soon as you're done. And accept responsibility for it.
Okay.
And make statements about how you accept any responsibility for it. There you go.
All right.
The more you know. But let's stop talking. I don't know why I felt.
It feels like sometimes you have to do.
compelled.
It feels like you have to do these community service things every once in a while, like a judge sentence you to go around doing these speaking tours, and you just wing it.
The judge has told me to incriminate myself on microphone every episode, so that's what I'm doing. This is the part.
I just try to avoid
the early part of the show where I dig myself my own grave.
There you go.
And I get deeper and deeper, and Jameson just sits in silence, and there's a look on his
And,
face
like,
that's saying, what the fuck is he saying
This
now?
is why I try to veer away from like hot button issues.
All right, well, look, let's put a cap on. Let's put a pin on that discussion. Can you fill me in on the wrestling career of Stone Cold Steve Austin?
On the entire career?
No, just,
ooh,
like
okay.
in these, just like, what are the highlights and everything?
Well, I mean, if you go through an entire laundry list of the Attitude Era, the exploits and the shenanigans of Stone Cold Steve Austin, while probably not like the majority of the clips are going to be him, he's going to be in a lot of them. The faces of around that time would have been like Triple H, Mick Foley, and certainly Stone Cold Steve Austin, just doing awesome shit like beating Vince McMahon with a bedpan when he's like recovering in a hospital, fighting Booker T in a grocery store, destroying Triple H's car by lifting it up with a crane and dropping it, Like his whole shtick, because he didn't always start out as Stone Cold Steve Austin. He is kind of got into wrestling a little bit late, and I think his first role was as Stunning Steve Austin, where he was just like a generic guy with long blonde hair who was a wrestler, but he had like really no charisma.
I would have loved to have seen that. I never bothered to do. I actually had meant to Google Steve Austin with hair to see if any pictures.
Oh yeah,
still exist.
Yeah, well,
you know what? I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, well, like in his early days, he had long flowing locks, and apparently he was like a straight A student and a teetotaler and all that good stuff. Which is so funny to smash cut to the Stone Cold Steve Austin that people know now.
Oh, that's so weird.
I know, right?
That's so weird with those long flowing locks.
Mm-hmm.
And then look. Someone has done like a comparison thing here where like half of his body has the long hair and the other half is the Stone Cold Steve Austin that we know. But
is the caption like, I could be your angel or your
devil? Well, no,
devil?
it's just the more present day, the more familiar Steve Austin in this photo, he is noticeably redder. I think they must have gotten him like a photo of him when he was like just getting out of the ring, so he's
all, like,
hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
So as someone who, I'm sorry to bring this up yet again, he kind of looks like he has shingles in this photo. Well, I'll save this photo. I'll post it on the Instagram. But it is kind of funny. This is a hilarious photo.
That is a really.
I might make that my profile photo for a while here.
Yeah, your new poster boy hero.
Look, you mentioned the teetotaler thing. The little that I know about Steve Austin, the thing that I knew is that he was a man that loved his beer. And the thing that I remember is he drove like a truck full of beer into the ring one night. He sprayed everybody with beer.
He sprayed everybody with a truck full of beer.
Because he was a good old boy.
Well, because his gimmick, and this kind of came right around the time that after Vince McMahon did the Montreal Screwjob over Bret Hart, and everyone kind of clued in the fact that Vince McMahon's kind of an asshole. Rather than doing like what I think anybody in a position of power would do nowadays, which is they would issue a retraction and apology, Vince leaned into that and decided somewhat wisely that this sport needs a villain. And then along comes Stone Cold Steve Austin, and his whole shtick was he was just every blue-collar worker that worked for someone that they hated. And wouldn't it just be great if you could go up to your boss and just kick his ass?
He was very anti-establishment.
Very anti-establishment, very anti-authority, to the point where, like, in a case where he did have a heel turn, because all wrestlers eventually have, like, heel turns like that.
You'd be disappointed if they didn't.
He was so beloved that when he had his heel turn, people didn't take it as Steve Austin did a heel turn. They took it as Vince McMahon actually turned good.
Oh,
yeah.
that's how powerful.
That's how beloved
the dynamic
was.
Between them
Yeah.
was. And their kayfabe, which is a term that I looked up after our last episode. When you said kayfabe, and I agreed with you as if I knew exactly what you were talking about. And now
that's come up like on pretty much every one of our WrestleMania
but
episodes.
their kayfabe definitely transferred over into real life as well too, because Steve Austin is someone who has no love left for Vince McMahon. Very few people have any love left for Vince McMahon, but he was one of the first to truly say like, no, I'm stepping away from this bullshit.
For sure, he's a good person, and well, he's an alright person.
Sure, look, everyone. No, I'm not doing that. I'm already deep in this hole. It's amazing. So, the film career.
Oh yes,
let's go through the film career, because that is ostensibly what we are here to talk about. Steve Austin has been in 13 movies.
That blew me away when you told me that, and I'm like, obviously they had to be all these like straight to streaming, straight to DVD piece of crap that I wouldn't.
With names like Recoil.
And I had to think that's got to be up there with one of the larger filmographies of wrestler turned actors?
That's a good question.
Because like Rowdy Piper's at the top.
Clearly,
Batista is probably a close
but
second.
he's doing quality over
He's
quantity.
doing quality, and then it's probably Hulk Hogan, and then it might be Steve Austin.
Well, don't forget The Rock.
I forgot about
The Rock actually might be getting close to eclipsing Piper.
Okay.
Just in terms of
Why did I forget
He's
about
just
The Rock?
making. Well, because he's become so big now. He's not The Rock anymore. He's Dwayne Johnson, right? He's Dwayne Johnson, Hollywood superstar and everything.
Okay.
But just those fucking Fast and Furious sequels alone has got Dwayne Johnson's numbers.
All right,
up.
then on the low rung of the ladder is probably so. You have to break 10 to have like one of these like large filmographies, and he's just did it.
He just makes it, but he also hasn't been in a movie since 2015. So maybe he's just done with that. Maybe he's just like,
I bet he's done.
Yeah, I don't necessarily need
like,
to be in one of like these cheapo action movies now.
You probably can't because wrestling does take a wear and tear on your body, and as we're gonna get into, he's not the strongest actor. So.
I got my opinions on his thespian stylings here, but yeah, maybe he's just happy. He's got his podcast network. He has a couple of beers.
Yeah.
He has like a Stone Cold IPA or something like that.
Something like that.
So he's out there. He's enjoying the fruits of his labor. And he doesn't need to be in these shitty red box movies anymore.
Every once in a while, there'll be like some clip of Reddit of Stone Cold Steve Austin surprises crowd in Las Vegas bar and just like has the time of his life, and he's on the bar downing like 2 beer at once and everything. It's just like, that's pretty much what I kind of hope for.
He's the Kiefer Sutherland of the wrestling world. Yes. So his first movie is in 2005, and it's the Adam Sandler film The Longest Yard.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Did I see? I think no. I'm confusing that with The Replacements.
Oh yes,
that other football
your
comedy.
classic football comedy.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of ragtime groups together. The Longest Yard is kind of a weird movie in Sandler's filmography because it's a remake of a 1970s film starring Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Who also makes a cameo in the Sandler version. But the Reynolds movie is it's like a comedy, but it's like a 70s comedy, so it's a lot more serious than a lot of like comedies of like the 90s and 2000s were. And the concept of The Longest Yard is that it's a prison football movie. Sandler's character goes to prison, and I believe he's a football player because let's just buy that. But yeah, he goes to prison and he has to turn the prisoners into a football team,
a winning football
team to fight the guards.
Yeah,
and that's the plot of the movie, and
which is not that unheard of. I mean, my cousin out in Winnipeg was a part of this softball league. And one of the teams they had to play was a prison team.
Yeah, well, hey.
Which is like unheard of and fucking insane sounding, but it happens.
I would be intimidated for multiple reasons. Being prisoners, they got time to practice. They got nothing but time to practice, so they're probably very good.
Apparently the heckling from the other inmates was some of like the best he's ever heard.
Well,
And I can imagine you're not afraid of a knife, but you're afraid of a ball.
But The Longest Yard, it's a weird movie that sticks out in Sandler's filmography because it is adapting this somewhat darker movie that has darker themes to the point, spoilers for a movie from 2005, it's a weird movie within Adam Sandler's filmography of comedies because this is the movie where Chris Rock dies a horrible jail-related death.
Yeah.
There's like a homemade explosive that's supposed to kill Adam Sandler, but Chris Rock goes into the cell instead. And then the movie just has to deal with the death of the second comedic lead, and it has this weird dour tone over this silly, goofy Adam Sandler comedy. Yeah, so it's not the most successful
Adam Sandler-y comedy.
It's not the most successful Adam Sandler comedy ever. But yeah, that is Stone Cold's debut film. It also has some other wrestlers in it. Both Goldberg and Kevin Nash are also in that movie. Okay. So maybe it was buy one wrestler, get the two others.
I know what you're getting at.
Thrown in there. I don't know. I'm glad you are because I'm not sure. I'm not sure this joke was fully baked in my head. But 2007, that he then gets his first lead role in The Condemned.
Yeah, that Battle Royale remake with Vinnie Jones, right?
That I was weirdly super fucking hyped for when it came out. I don't know why. I think it was because that was around the time that I saw Grindhouse.
Oh, yeah.
The Tarantino Rodriguez double feature thing, and I was really getting into anything that was like
exploitive
and had like
schlocky.
lots of violence and stuff. And I think this one came out like I saw a trailer right on the heels of like seeing Grindhouse, so I'm like, this is the next Grindhouse experience. Oh, Steve Austin, rah. And I saw it, and I'm all like, this is some bullshit. This is it's not a good. It's a dour, glum, violent, unpleasant film.
I think that's one of the WWE Studios movies. If I'm not mistaken, it could be their second one.
Yes, that's an early WWE Studios movie for Mr. Steve Austin.
Right.
Then after that, he does have a couple of movies that escaped into theaters after that, but after that, it's pretty much all just straight to DVD stuff after this.
Sure.
His next film is in 2009. It's called Damage. A lot of these have one-word titles.
Yeah.
But Damage! An ex-con battles it out in a cage to pay for the operation that would save the daughter of his victim. Along the way, he finds fatherly love and friendship in the most unlikely of places.
The cage, I don't know.
The cage. He finds love in the cage. Walton Goggins is also in this. Don't know what to tell you about that. 2010, he is in 3 movies.
Yeah.
He is in the straight-to-DVD film The Stranger, playing the role of The Stranger. The Stranger is a man with no name, no memory, and absolutely nothing left to lose. But when he finds himself hunted by both the FBI and the Russian mob, this amnesiac decides to fight back.
Okay.
Canada's own Adam Beach is floundering much lower down the cast list than he should. But that's just a guy who just likes to be in stuff. Oh! And Andrew Wheeler, a Vancouver-based actor that I have been in place with, is also in this film. Stone Cold seems to like shooting in Vancouver. I would wager most of these movies were filmed in Vancouver, including the movie we're discussing today.
That's a golden segue to talk about how my buddy Blake, who listens to this show,
shout out to Blake.
Shout
out to B-Dog.
Oh, he will not accept
well,
that.
I'm not in the room. I mean, he's not here. So.
He worked at Urban Fare back in the day, and who should walk into the store?
The largest man in the world?
Stone Cold Steve Austin. And
what did he order?
He ordered a dozen raw chickens.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
that's a great answer to that question.
Because he's like, who's this like tall jack guy who's wearing nothing but camo? Holy shit, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Holy shit, he's coming over here. He's like, oh, hi, Stone Cold. I need 1 chicken. What? 2 chicken. What? 3 chicken. What?
Is this a wrestling thing?
Yes, every time
okay,
he would count up. But yes, my buddy served raw chicken to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, I mean, like, he shouldn't word it like that, because if he words it like that, then it sounds like he did something wrong to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin ordered the chicken
He ordered
raw.
the chicken, then he gave Blake a Stone Cold Stunner, and then he left.
And he probably did something badass with it, too, like he fucking roasted it over, like a butane fucking, no, it wasn't even a grill, it was his fucking engine. Fucking made beer can chicken on his engine block. I'm creating this story now. The movie he makes after The Stranger is a film, maybe you've heard of it, it's called The Expendables.
Yep.
He was in the original Expendables as a villain.
Yep.
I believe his character's name is Pain.
Yeah, he was Eric Roberts' main goon, right?
Yep, Eric Roberts. Everyone remembers Eric Roberts, the main villain of the Expendables.
Yeah.
Yes, but Stone Cold is like his number 1 henchman. I believe, disappointingly, he is killed by Randy Couture, of all people.
Yeah.
I do remember he is set on fire at the end of that movie in some hilariously bad-looking CGI flame. It's funny how, like, the one movie of his that actually went to theaters had the look and production of a direct-to-DVD movie. Those later Stallone-directed movies,
What the hell was
he saved some budget. He saved some money, ultimately. But then he squeezed out one last movie in 2010. It's called Hunt to Kill. U.S. Border Patrol agent Jim Rhodes is a tough divorcee mourning the loss of his murdered partner. Lots going on there. While struggling to raise his rebellious daughter in the mountains of Montana. When a crew of trigger-happy fugitives take them hostage, the rugged wilderness will explode in all-terrain vengeance. Is there any wounded animal more dangerous than a lawman left for dead? Numerous wounded animals are more dangerous than than that.
I don't think they meant that literally.
Interestingly enough, I mean, I guess maybe not interestingly enough, seeing as Eric Roberts makes 100 movies per year.
Yeah. He's in this one too?
Both of them jump straight from The Expendables to this, because I believe he is the villain in this one. Once again, it is filled with great Vancouver-based Canadian actors in here. Michael Eklund, Michael Hogan from Battlestar Galactica. Right. Shout out to him. Yeah, 2011, he once again is in 3 movies. None of these made it to theaters this time. He's in Recoil, the film we're talking about today. He's in... This is maybe the closest Stone Cold has come to the now standard Wrestler Kid movie that we've done.
Really? I thought he would never touch a kid's
It's
comedy.
not a game plan. He's not wearing a tutu or anything like that. But it's a film called Knockout. Outsider and new kid Matthew desperately wants to join his high school's boxing team, but resident bully and boxing champion Hector stand in the way. Facing constant torment, Matthew finds an unlikely ally in Dan, the school's janitor and one-time amateur boxer.
Oh, that's Stone Cold,
Yeah,
right?
so it sounds kind of like the Legendary movie that we watched last year with John Cena. This is the closest he has come to like a family-friendly Stone Cold. But not having seen the movie or a trailer for the movie, I don't know the tone of the rest of this movie, but this sounds...
I think we can imagine that it's very similar to Legendary.
Probably, yes. And then his last movie in 2011 is called Tactical Force. A training exercise for the LAPD SWAT team goes terribly wrong when they find themselves pitted against 2 rival gangs while trapped in an abandoned hangar, armed with nothing but blanks. Doesn't sound good for them, so he's in that. The great Michael J. White is in that. Black Dynamite himself.
Yeah. Wait a second. Was that the other option I gave you for the Stone Cold?
I think that was one of the other options you said. We could have watched that. We could think about it. We could be talking about Tactical Force now. 2012, a bit of a step down for Stone Cold because now he unfortunately has to play second banana to Steven Seagal in 2012's Maximum Conviction. Some bullshit about prison.
That's all you need to say.
I don't know. It's the
premise is some bullshit.
Some bullshit, and unfortunately, yes, he's not even the lead in that. He is promoted to second banana, so that's not great. 2013, he's in The Package. A courier for a local crime lord must deliver a mysterious package while being chased by a horde of unusual gangsters. His Expendables co-star Dolph Lundgren is in this movie, playing a character named The German. And then, to date, the last movie he was in that has made it to theaters, he's back with The Sandman. It's Grown Ups 2. Playing a character named Tommy Cavanaugh. Now, if I had to guess, he must have been like a childhood bully that was picking on the grown-ups when they were not grown-ups. And then years later, it's all like, oh, look at you, flipping it new. And Stone Cold's all like, that's very amusing. And then someone, I don't know, throws a pie in his face. I don't know. The first Grown Ups wasn't very good.
Maybe
I never
you need
watched
to
this
watch
scene.
this.
I would rather not. I already waste a lot of time watching
the stuff we have to talk about.
I don't know if I need to add Grown Ups 2 onto that list. 2015, his final film to date, Chain of Command, also with Michael J. White. After finding his brother murdered after returning from duty, Webster searches for the perpetrators but discovers a conspiracy that cuts deep inside the U.S. government. And Webster is actually Michael J. White. So again, it looks like Steve Austin is playing the sidekick role in this one. And then that was it.
Maybe that was the movie that I still gave as an option. I don't know.
I don't know. One of these two.
One of them
I
that
don't
had
know.
Michael
But
J. White.
there we go. There's the not entirely all that exciting film career of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's true.
3 movies that made it to theaters, none of which are terribly well remembered. I guess some people out there like The Expendables. I don't know. Not great.
Probably
movies.
just, coasting off the popularity of being Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's, well, somebody wrote this schlocky action piece of crap.
Somebody. Literally Sylvester Stallone. And that opens doors.
I'm talking about stuff like Recoil.
Oh, okay, my bad. Right.
Yeah, somebody writes a generic action movie, and Stone Cold's not doing anything, so they can get him. And Vancouver's, desperate for work.
It's open for business.
That's right.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, shall we start discussing Recoil?
Let us shall.
All right, we'll listen to this charity spot, and when we come back, we will coil up and then do the opposite of that. I don't fucking know. Whatever.
All right.
More than 8 million refugees from Ukraine have been recorded across Europe. More than 5 million people are estimated to be displaced inside of the Ukraine. In response to this growing humanitarian crisis, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is working with national authorities, UN agencies, displaced communities, and local and international partners to provide important, necessary assistance. The UNHCR are present inside Ukraine and neighboring countries to protect and assist those forced to flee. To make a donation to the UNHCR, please visit the link in our show notes. Your donation makes all the difference, as only 1% of their budget comes from the UN. Please visit give.unhcr.ca. We're back. Oh, that recoil. Oh my god. Oh, I should have prepared for it.
I should have
written
written something out ahead of time. We're gonna coil up, and then we're gonna.
I
Good
told
Lord,
you.
man.
I told you. I don't know who fucking cares. Recoil.
Yeah. We needed a third movie for WrestleMania. We found one.
This was this one.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Since we've invoked that, let's just say this should be discussed. This should be. We should hold ourselves accountable for this. Mm-hmm. Much like Steve Austin held himself accountable. No, I'm abandoning that. No, I'm abandoning that joke mid-swerve. Earlier this year, we were gonna set a little goal for ourselves for WrestleMania.
Yes, we were.
Where our goal this year was we were gonna have a theme for WrestleMania, and it was going to be we were gonna exclusively cover films from WWE Studios. We were going to spotlight 3 movies specifically from that production company. Mm-hmm. And then May rolled around. I didn't even find a movie. I found a TV pilot. And then you found like 2 other movies on the list of 4.
And then you got Shingles. And then
I got Shingles. And we were just all like, this is fine.
Time is of the essence.
This is fine. This is all fine.
Simplicity is of the essence.
I'm surprised Recoil is in WWE Studios because it feels like it, just based on, what the poster looks like and just how generic it is. Like it could be, but it's not fucking the Marine 4. So
this movie wishes it was the Marine 4.
Maybe that's what we'll do next year. I mean, like, making plans clearly works out great for us, but maybe that's what we'll do.
If it takes an entire year to plan out for one
next year, we'll just
we'll
do Marine 4, 12 rounds 3. What's the other fucking series that they try to fuck? There's got to be a third one.
There's probably like another Condemned movie.
Oh, they're up to Condemned. They're up to Condemned 8. Yeah. They can't stop condemning things. Mm-hmm. Recoil. It's directed by Terry Miles, who I assumed before I did my research was just, one of these guys who directs these straight-to-DVD action movies.
He's not.
He is a novelist, a filmmaker, a podcaster, and the CEO and founder of the podcast label Minnow Beats Whale. So this dude, we need to set the table here and acknowledge Jameson. Both the director and star of this movie that we are covering are more successful podcasters than we are, and have been at the game longer and are just fundamentally better at it. So we should.
So what the fuck are we doing here?
Minnow Beats Whale, Terry Miles. He's produced a series of hit narrative podcasts with sort of a mystery/horror element to them. His podcast line includes Tannis, Rabbits, The Black Tapes, and The Last Movie, which is about a movie that, if you watch it, you go mad. He's also turned the podcast Rabbits into a novel, the sequel to which The Quiet Room was published last year. And I was looking through the, the shows that are on the Minnow Beats Whale podcast network. Looks really impressive. I definitely feel like I should check them out. Noticing a distinct lack of comedy movie review podcasts. So, Terry Miles, slide into our DMs. Give us a
Hit
ring.
us up on the gram.
You know you want it. You know you're trying to fill the need within your burgeoning,
Yeah, now that I
highly successful network that doesn't need us.
now that I know all this, maybe I'll go a little easier on this movie.
Whatever.
Whatever indeed.
He's directed 11 films.
Oh, good for him.
So, not all of them need to be masterpieces.
Fair, yeah.
I'm sure he wouldn't mind us taking a few pot shots at one of his 11 films.
No, he's gonna send Stone Cold Steve Austin
Their friend.
and Danny Trejo after us.
Oh man, I would love it if he sent Danny Trejo to my house.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be great. That would be fantastic. But he directed 11 films, including 3 westerns. Dawn Rider, starring Christian Slater and Donald Sutherland. Lonesome Dove Church, starring Tom Berenger, and Stagecoach, the Texas Jack Story, starring Trace Adkins, Kim Coates, and Judd Nelson. He's also directed a couple of films that just have terrific names.
Oh, yeah.
Including 2010's A Night for Dying Tigers, and 2015's Even Lambs Have Teeth, which is a rape revenge movie.
These
So
are wonderful movie titles.
I like them.
All right.
I like even what's
I don't know. I'm drawn to mind pretentious album titles.
I just like it. I just the next time someone wants to start some small talk with me, and someone just comes up and is all like, "It's a nice night," I'm just gonna turn them all mysterious. It's like, it's a nice night for dying tigers.
And they'll be like, "Oh shit, you're a fan of the podcast
Oh
too?"
shit, fucking Terry Miles?
Yeah.
Are you Terry Miles?
Yeah.
And I'll be all like,
And he lifts up his arm. He's got like a Terry Miles tattoo and shit.
he's got a tattoo of his own face.
Yeah.
We're just creating the myth of Terry Miles. So yes, Terry Miles, a handsome man who's never done anything wrong. Please hire us. Anyway, let's make fun of this movie that you directed.
All right. Okay. Yeah, fuck.
Shooting ourselves in the foot despite our faces.
Jesus Christ, Recoil. Okay. Movie opens with Stone Cold Steve Austin as like this like just recognizable hard-ass character driving his black Mustang. You can tell instantly what kind of movie this is going to be. He's fiddling with a gun in his glove box. He's notched some scars into his arms of like a kill count, and he has newspaper clippings on the seat next to him of like rapist acquitted or accused murderer makes bail or something like that. So you fucking know what's going on in this movie.
Isn't his gear shift like the handle of a gun or something? Like he has like a custom gear shift that's like something.
It's like like the handle of a gun.
It's like either the handle of a gun or a handle of a knife or something. But yeah, it's like that's not what a gear shift's supposed to look like. That's what a man's gear shift is.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's got the scar tattoos and whatever, and then we cut to a bunch of dude bros in the forest with semi-automatic rifles.
Like, Jesus Christ, like, too intense to be going on a rabbit hunt with.
Yeah, but,
these fully automatic assault rifles with, like, the scope and everything, and they still can't...
Unfortunately, that's the most believable thing that happens in this movie, because fucking morons do that shit all the fucking time.
Yeah.
They go to shoot rabbits with guns that can turn a human being into hamburger meat, basically.
Something that takes down police helicopters. Yeah, they're going after rabbits with this, and the guy goes fucking point blank at a rabbit and misses.
Yeah.
And everything.
There's clearly one guy we're supposed to be following here, like the guy who can't shoot the rabbit because his two buddies are just nondescript background characters, and of course he goes off because he's fuming. He says, "I'm not leaving until I kill something."
Yeah.
And then he of course does the natural thing of separating from his buddies. Goes to like a cliff face.
Yep.
Where Stone Cold comes out of another way and he gets him in a chokehold.
Yeah,
Oh God! It's Austin with a chair! I'm sorry.
He choke slams him off the mountain.
Yeah. After this actor legitimately almost falls off the cliff. Did you see that happen?
Oh, yeah.
He does a little trip. He does like a little tiny trip, and I'm all like, that's the take that they left in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like, like the cops later come in and they're all like, well, he didn't fall because like his windpipe was like crushed or whatever. It's all like, motherfucker almost fell.
He could
could have died.
Yeah.
The normal dumbass way, but no, he just so happened to
I
be...
mean, that was the take they used. That was not the original guy they cast. podcasts. There's an in memoriam section to the guy.
Terry Miles knows more, and then he created a fake podcast around it.
I just want to say, like,
it's called Rabbits. Oh my god, I just realized that.
Jeez. I just want to say right off the bat here, I was very on board with everything that I was seeing so far in this movie.
Sure, yeah.
I was like, all right, okay, this movie is starting off really strong. I can't wait to see them maintain this kind of, high-octane, schlocky action, machismo fest, starring tough guys, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And how did you like it?
Well, like I said, let's just say that might have been the high point of the movie, the opening 5 minutes.
So
it does not maintain this amazing spike.
So we follow Stone Cold, who is playing a character. What the hell's his name? Ryan Varent.
Ryan Varent, yeah.
Is that right?
RV, yeah, Ryan
Varent. It's amazing that I still had that in my head.
God, I need to double check the thing on Amazon Prime that gives you the synopsis, because I swear to God, I thought it said John Varent. Because, like, every action hero in these kinds of movies is named, like, John.
Well, I went through his filmography earlier, and I would say half of the characters he's played are either John or Jack, or some variation of that. Ryan Valet is a pretty unique name.
Ryan is a very unusual name for an action movie hero.
Stone Cold Steve Austin doesn't really look like a Ryan. He's not giving Ryan. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you and I clued in pretty early on that this movie was clearly shot in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
So how much did you laugh when you found out that the main town that the story takes place was named Hope?
I thought it was hilarious. They say, like, where are you going? What, into Canada? Wait, you're not going to Hope, are you? And I'm like, are you going to Hope, BC?
Yeah, which is hilarious. So he's meant to be in Washington.
Yes.
And what I didn't realize until I looked it up, because I did think to myself, it's all, well, okay, there's a Vancouver in Washington. Maybe there actually is a Hope, Washington. And there is, but more primarily, Hope, Washington is also the fictional town from the novel First Blood. So,
really?
Yes, the first Rambo movie takes place in Hope, Washington. So I feel like that must be like an homage or something. Because this movie kind of has shades of Rambo. It's more like 2 other movies that we will get to. But
like one-man army in a small Pacific Northwest town. That's as far as Rambo as it kind of gets.
But it's funny that, you're right. He goes to, like, this diner, and the waitress says, well, where are you going? You going up there? Nothing up there but Canada. And then she stops herself, and the next thing she says is,
You're not going to Hope, are you?
You're not going to Hope, are you? And, like, I have a feeling a lot of, like, our Americans who are watching this movie to get their Stone Cold fix probably don't know there's a Hope in Canada. There's a Hope in BC.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you shot this film in British Columbia. Why not just shoot it in Hope? They didn't shoot it in Hope. They shot it in some other smaller BC locations. But it's super. That must have been confusing to somebody on set.
It was
to the locals on set. That must have been very confusing.
All like the set guys and Teamster guys who are following the roadmap directions. Like, well, it says we gotta go to Hope, and like, well, well, there's a Hope in Washington and a Hope in British Columbia. Which one is it?
So he goes to Hope.
Or hopeless.
He goes to as some little group, little rascal with a spray paint can.
He's got a well. It's not even necessarily a score. He is, as we're gonna find out, like he is a vigilante, distributing vigilante justice, and he has a specific target that's located in Hope that he wants to go after. He's targeting specific criminals.
I'm gonna have to fight you on this, Jameson, in the sense that he does indeed have a score to settle, as evidenced by this film's tagline. The poster is Steve Austin and Danny Trejo. The tagline for the movie is, they each have a score to settle. So there's multiple scores in this movie. And in fact, he is keeping score on his arm in flesh. So there's many scores happening here.
Well, I stand corrected.
Well, you know what? You can take responsibility for yourself. And that's the important thing. Yes. Right. So a theme that we actually have weirdly been following. We didn't do like the initial theme for WrestleMania, but we kind of backed into an unofficial theme, is that every movie we've covered has also featured an actor from a previous episode that we haven't talked about in a while. In this case, we got two of them. We got the great Danny Trejo, who we have not talked about since episode 4.
It's been a minute.
It's been far too long.
We fucking love Danny Trejo.
And then on the lower end of that scale, this is also the second time we've talked about Lachlan Monroe. Speaking about BC-based actors, he's also in this. And the thing... Now...
We should probably stop looking at, this movie also features actors that we've covered before. We should probably stop using that as, like, maybe we should go after this one, because it'll be fun to revisit these guys. We struck gold with Mackenzie's Island in that regard, revisiting two actors.
Lightning didn't strike twice.
Did not strike twice.
Although... Danny Trejo is an absolute delight in this movie.
Yes, he is.
As he is in everything.
He
can make any bullshit material just sing.
Sure, yeah.
Just by the virtue of being himself. And he has monologues in this movie where I guarantee you that shit was not written down. They just said, like, Danny, can you just talk about prison for a while? He's all like, oh yeah, I got like 1,000,000 stories. And I'm sure the monologue he does is just something that happened to Danny Trejo.
He still says it with like that glint in his eye and that smile on his face.
So the last time we covered a Danny Trejo movie, not decades ago, but 5 years ago, which is quite a while. It was for the movie Desert Heat, which is about a guy who goes to a small town that is been taken over by a gang. So this movie kind of has some shades of Yojimbo. It's basically The Punisher meets Yojimbo. That's what Recoil is. Really.
Fuck, there were a couple of parts where I was like, this is just this director's audition tape to be considered for a Punisher series or a Punisher movie. Didn't quite get there. But he's going for that, hardened vigilante story.
Yeah. Well, this movie's not brutal enough.
Absolutely not. This movie's not enough anything to be any one thing.
It's the most bog standard action film. And so they get in a fight and they're like, oh, we're fighting now. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the attitude throughout the entire thing. It's all like, oh, they got me.
Yeah.
Like they capture the female lead. It's all like, I'm in a chair, etc. That's kind of like the feeling over the entire film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have to laugh at the fact that the last Danny Trejo movie we watched this is kind of the exact same plot to a degree. And in point of fact, the last time we watched a Lachlan Monroe movie, it was about him
in a small town,
solving a mystery in a small town
in the Pacific Northwest. Holy fuck! Well, they know how to pick them.
They certainly do. Yeah. Well, we know how to pick them.
But the difference between those two is like those two movies were somewhat tongue-in-cheek comedic.
Well,
one more
Camouflage was supposed to be a comedy. It didn't really work out that way.
No, not at all. And Desert Heat was not meant to be a very broad
comedy. But it was the funniest movie we watched in a while.
There. And this movie is not a laugh to be had.
No, there's not. Well, there's one. There's one line.
Well,
there's one line with
one line, maybe a few visual things. But that's about it.
Yes. So he drives into the town of Hope. He goes to the one motel that, of course, is run by an attractive single lady, because that's that trope.
I saw that actress
checked off.
I saw that actress, and my first thought was, okay, the casting call, she just said Megan Fox type.
Oh yeah, she's very Megan Fox adjacent. Yes,
maybe a slightly better actress, but that's kind of a low bar.
This is Serinda Swan. She is a Vancouver-based actress.
No shit.
She was in that Inhumans TV show.
Oh.
That no one liked, and is for the longest time was the most disappointing thing Marvel ever produced.
Until recently,
when just the movies they started doing.
Yeah, she runs she's a widowed lady, and she runs the motel. She's eyeballing Stone Cold Steve Austin because she sees all these roughnecks roll into town all the time. She wonders, what's this criminal escaping the law from? She doesn't trust him, and
she's also eyeballing him because he's fucking Steve Austin. He's a giant man.
Yeah.
if he came into my work and ordered 12 raw chickens, I'd look at him.
Yeah.
But we also go to the convenience store where we meet some of the locals, and here we meet Kirby.
We meet one of the locals. We meet Kirby, the guy who runs that gas station.
That's true. We meet two locals.
Let me ask you this: how many people do you think live in this town who don't work who
aren't part of the motorcycle gang?
Yeah.
We see 4.
Yeah.
We see
we see 2 cops. Darcy, who runs the motel, and Kirby.
And that's absolutely
That's
it.
it.
Yes.
That bike gang employs more than half the town.
Yes, all of the extras were just relegated to the biker gang. We don't see anyone else in this town. And look, the thing with the plot of the movie is that the biker gang have taken over the town, and everyone who lives in the town lives in fear. But we should see more people, because it's also implied that, like, Danny Trejo, like, runs the town, and he doesn't let people leave. Like, I need to look up what's the name of the character? Motel lady.
Darcy.
Darcy's husband tried to leave, and that's why she's a widow now, because he tried to get them out. Yeah. So it's like you're once you're in Hope, there is no hope. You can't get out. You can't get out of there.
Just like the real Hope OPC.
It's fine. It's a fine place to pass through when you're driving somewhere else.
It's a pleasant drive-through.
Yeah, so he's there, and he rents a room, and he writes his name down in a book, because that's what you do when you rent a room pretty much anywhere, even though he does pay in cash. So he didn't have to write his name down, but it's going to be a plot thing later.
Yeah, for sure. And not even the next day, the next thing he does is he rides into town, and he goes to the local motorcycle bar.
Gentlemen's Club,
Henny's Social Club, where their motto is, admission's free, you gotta pay to get out.
Oh, I didn't see that. Where did you see that?
You didn't see it? The camera lingered on it for a solid 10 seconds.
Oh, no, I was probably right. I was probably writing notes at the time. But yeah, there's a guy right outside the door. Yeah. He walks out, and he sees their dog, and he immediately goes up to the dog. He says, "What are you looking at, stupid? You pee on my bike?" And then he pulls a gun. He's about to shoot a dog in the middle of the day. And then, of course, Stone Cold is there to save the day.
To kick his ass.
I love the fact that Amazon X-Ray let me know that this was Benny the dog playing a dog in this scene. It's like, wow, they really go detailed on this thing, don't they?
Yeah, really.
Holy shit. And then Stone Cold beats this guy up in a terribly boring fist fight.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, this is setting the table for...
Your big hope for a movie like this is that the fight scenes are actually really entertaining. But man, the first couple of fights in this movie, I was very worried. They set a very bad precedent.
So Stone Cold beats up this Timothy Oliphant-looking motherfucker here. And then the rest of the gang come out, and they go up to Stone Cold, and they say, "The hell are you looking at?" Which begs the question of, like, does everyone who comes out of this club have to say, "The hell are you staring at?" Is that like the passcode? Or something, because it certainly seems like that's what's happening here.
They're checking to see what you're going to say, because there's a special code word you got to say back.
That's right.
And then they say, "Welcome, brother." Yeah.
It's like there's a doorman at the door and says, like, "What's the password?" And you just go, like, let me the fuck in. It's all like, all right, fine. You're cool.
So the leader of the gang is Danny Trejo. He plays Drake, and his right-hand man is his brother Rex. And they eyeball Steve Austin, but he says, like, "I'll catch you later, alligators," and he leaves.
He does say that.
No, he doesn't.
It's odd hearing that come out of his mouth, but he does say that. He does in fact say that. Yes. Danny Trejo plays Drake with a Y.
Yeah.
So he's crazy. I don't know what the deal with that was.
But you want to know why?
Yeah. And then we get to see. There's all briefly before we get into that. There's we also cut over to the feds. The FBI.
Lachlan Monroe is the head of the FBI. Where the fuck? Not the head. He's like...
No, he's like the Fed on the trail of Steve Austin.
Yeah, he's investigating the string of the vigilante killer.
Because they found Buddy's corpse in the woods earlier or whatever. And they said, like, this doesn't fit the MO. He obviously was choked before he got kicked off the thing. So, and then, like, and we also find out through, like, this FBI... meeting or whatever that, like, the girls that he's, like, avenging are, like, really young, so he's taken out, like, real scumbags. He's taken out not nice people, so it's all like, we're supposed to feel good about that. We're supposed to feel good about Steve Austin killing all these guys.
One thing I want to note about this scene with the FBI guys and the guy who interrupts Lachlan Monroe's briefing on the following the trail, the guy that he went after, he's abstract art now.
Yeah, you're gonna want to call off that surveillance. Why? Somebody just turned Dale Burrows into abstract art. When? Almost 48 hours. Are they sure? Pretty sure he's a goddamn pretzel. Are they sure it's Burrows? Oh, yeah. His hunting buddies ID'd the body.
And I'm like, is that a joke? I know that's clearly meant to be a funny line, but movie, are you trying to be funny?
It's like gallows humor and stuff like that. The other trope that I love is they go to the coroner, where it has the guy that Steve Austin threw off the mountain, and of course the coroner showing them the dead body, but he's eating a sandwich. Which is a trope that always makes me laugh, and I feel like they do that every time you gotta have like a coroner. They're
so like the weirdest motherfucker.
Well, they're so desensitized with which I know is that job. I know that's part of the job, but I have a feeling most coroners probably
have a good sense of humor.
Well, also they probably have a lunchroom. Where they're supposed to eat the lunch.
I'm sure they don't eat around decaying bodies.
Yeah. It's like, I dropped a pickle. Hold on.
Really, yeah.
It's next to the rib.
Opens up the cooler and they just got like a couple of beers in there.
So we cut to the motorcycle club. We are in the middle of an electrified cage.
Oh, the base of operations itself. It's like an abandoned ferry, they say, right? It's a ferry boat?
They keep saying that, and I kept waiting for them to be in, like, the showdown to be
anchors away!
Yeah, exactly! I don't know. I think it's like it must be like a moored boat or something like
dilapidated boat or something that I think Danny Trejo might be living in, because he's got his couch and everything there. It's where he does his boxing.
It would be funny. He's literally a crime lord that owns an entire town. He could go up to the nicest house in town and just say, "Hey, whatever, I fucking live in there." He sees like a ferry that someone beached years ago, and it's just all like, "There, that's my base of operation." Yeah. And if I could get some skulls surrounding me, I think that would be best too.
No one's ever gonna think to look in the abandoned ferry boat.
Look, we're kind of. I'm jumping all the way to the very end of the movie here, but like, did you notice there's at the very end of the movie there's like a brief shot where Stone Cold walks past a ferry that very clearly says BC Ferries on the side of it, but the BC is kind of like
behind a leaf or faded out.
It's like someone like put like some fake rust over it or something. But they didn't. But they didn't remove the
logo.
No, the British Columbia flag that's right next to it.
Yeah.
Also, like
some set-dressers like, that ought to do it.
Also, look, you're set in your fictional town of Hope in Washington. BC turns into DC pretty fucking easy. I'm just saying. I know different cities, but like, just saying, if you want to keep it within Washington. Anyway, so there's this electric cage that Danny does all his best work in.
Yeah, I guess I forget why he's fighting this guy.
Because this guy didn't pay his dues.
He didn't pay his dues.
He's behind on his club fees.
But Danny Trejo says, "Tell you what, if you last one round in the electric octagon with me, I will settle your debt." And this is where we establish that Danny Trejo is a really good fighter, like a surprisingly agile fighter, where he's like bending over backwards like a kung fu master, and there's one part where like the guy tries to throw sand in Danny Trejo's eyes, but he disappears like Batman and appears behind him.
So he's a superhero. He's Machete.
He's Machete, yeah. But we also find out that he is somewhat honorable in that he kicks the guy's ass, but then he just says, "No, now he's free to go." I said that his debt would be paid if he survives a round. He survived a round. I mean, he's been... The shit was kicked out of him, and he got electrified in the fence a couple of times. But like, Danny Trejo is going to honor that saying. So he's a little more of a complex villain than we would expect.
There's some embarrassing fights in this movie. This one was the most hilarious, largely because Scorpion, the character that Danny Trejo is fighting, he basically resembles like a fatter Julian from Trailer Park Boys. Like
I kept wondering what does this guy look like?
He's
to me?
not like a man who's like any sort of shape.
It's not Julian from Trailer Park Boys, but he looks like Julian.
He could be, He could be. He could live in a trailer park. But they keep making this guy do all these high kicks and stuff, and I'm like, guys, this guy's a scrapper, all right?
Yeah.
Don't make him do. But he's fucking Jackie Channing all over
like
this fucking
refrigerator.
Yeah, no. None of these meatheads should be doing any of these. If I can't buy that Stone Cold would do a high kick, I'm certainly not buying it from this gentleman over here.
Who's bigger than Stone Cold and everything.
Absolutely.
After the fight, Rex goes over to Danny Trejo, and Danny Trejo says, "I want you to investigate that smart-ass Steve Austin who beat up our probie in front of our..."
Smart-ass Steve Austin.
Yeah.
That's his wrestling name.
And no, it's not. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know this.
But imagine.
Just
imagine a world.
I think it's whatever.
He's got like a graduation cap on. He beats people with a rolled up diploma. I don't know. I'm just
he sends Rex out there to investigate this, but then he also sends another guy to go over there and says like, keep an eye on Rex, and we're like, ooh, what's this all gonna be about? And I'll bring that up again when I want to make my other point.
Well, the issue is that Rex is like, again, this movie's full of tropes. You know, there's the gang leader, and then there's the gang leader's crazy brother who doesn't have like the same like code of ethics that like the gang leader has and everything. And he's like the crazy psychopath and everything. The issue is that the actor they got to play this role is just as understated as everyone else. This guy's a fine actor. I've seen him in like Fast and Furious, and I think he's in Training Day. Like, he's a guy who shows up if you need like
a scary looking gangster.
A scary looking gangster guy and everything. Yeah, but they needed someone. They needed like a, you know, like a
guy who has like a twitch or something.
I'm thinking like the Punisher and everything like that. We need a loony bin Jim to this guy's Jigsaw. You know, like we need like the crazy guy to give a different energy to Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
To set the table and be all like, okay, we're taking the wild card off the table now. Now the bad guy's really angry.
Yeah. Also, if you're gonna say to us that these guys are meant to be brothers, you should probably cast someone who's a little closer in age to Danny Trejo than the guy.
Danny Trejo is quite an old guy.
He's an old man.
But that's like the delightful thing about Danny Trejo is that he became a movie star when he was like almost 50.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like he gets the roles that he gets, but we all take these roles with a big grain of salt. You know, when he's beating up Stone Cold at the end of the movie, we're all like, all right. Look, we've gone this far and we haven't referenced the fact Stone Cold Steve Austin, very tall.
Yes.
Danny Trejo, not so much.
He's like my height.
He's a very compact individual.
Yeah.
He's a big, scary, intimidating dude in movies, but when you see him in shots with other actors, you're always reminded, oh yeah, Danny Trejo's like a little guy.
Yeah, he's kind of short.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not short.
He immediately goes into like defensiveness. What are you talking about?
No, I'm 5'8", which isn't tall, but like it's not short. Danny Trejo could absolutely bench press me. I'm sure of it.
I mean, yeah. Even now, he's like Action Grandpa.
Yeah,
that's the world. That's the world.
Wasn't he in a movie called Action Grandpa?
I believe he was in Grandpa Daycare, something like that.
Okay.
It's like the Granddaddy Daycare.
Granddaddy Daycare.
Oh,
okay.
boy. Danny Trejo will be in your movie. He doesn't have to be, but he certainly does seem to like being in. That's the thing, is Danny Trejo just likes being in movies.
Yeah.
If you're college student or whatever, and you like send him an email, and he just flip a coin, he'll show up and be in your film.
He seems like an absolute sweetheart, and like, he'll be the tough guy.
It's an energy that you want on your movies.
Like, I just want to be friends with Danny Trejo.
Absolutely.
Go to his like fucking taco restaurant whenever I want.
There's lots of disbelief that we suspend when we see Danny Trejo in a villainous role in an action movie. It was all like, A, I'm suspending the disbelief that Danny Trejo can do these things without getting winded because he is an old, tired man. And B, he's like the nicest fucking guy in the world. There's so many instances of interviews of him being the biggest mensch in the world, and it's just
I gotta buy him as a real meanie.
Absolutely, yeah. He's too cuddly.
So Rex goes to Darcy's motel and really fucking creeps her out, asking all the questions about who was that big guy that checked into the hotel here.
Yeah, and she says, I don't know. And like, I get that he's supposed to be like dumb or whatever, but it's like, this is a motel. Like, people have to have either credit cards or they've signed a book. You need to give your name at a motel, even if it's like the dingiest little like backwards motel that only pays in cash. You need to give a name. But for some reason he's all like, all right, didn't give a name or whatever. But then and then he punches Darcy in the face. And then
Stone Cold comes up
behind him. The quietest man in the world, the quietest giant you've ever met, just appears out of nowhere.
Up on you,
and it's Austin with a chair. Sorry.
Glass breaks and he comes up. Yeah, so he beats up Rex, and then he ties him to what I originally assumed was the hood of Steve Austin's car. His really awesome
black car. He loves that car. That's the only thing he loves.
Yeah. So he ties him to a hood of a car. Let's just say it's Rex's car. And he drives him to a meth lab owned by the bike gang that we actually saw earlier.
Was that the meth lab?
That was the meth lab that blew up, yeah. And I'm thinking, is this place not guarded 24/7? Are there no night watchmen at this meth lab? And then I thought, wait a second, didn't Drake send a guy to watch Rex?
Yeah.
Is he not like witness to this at all time, and he's not intervening at any one point?
There's like one line of dialogue to throw that away later, when
the screenwriter remembered he forgot that.
Hold on, we'll get to that because we're like literally mid explanation of one thing. So yeah, so Austin has tied Rex to the car and whatever. He says like, I know you're the killer. I know you're the highwayman, Rex. I know you do all these terrible things to little girls, and you're not gonna get away with it anymore. Right on, highwayman. And he puts the car into drive. I don't see him dropping like a concrete block on the pedal or anything like that, but it doesn't matter because the car just drives on its own, I guess.
Yeah, drives into the building and explodes, killing Rex.
It explodes into a massive fireball. Why does everything explode when this car hit? I would get that the car would explode upon impact, maybe.
Yeah.
That's not even a guarantee that the car would explode.
It was the meth lab, so of course that thing's gonna go off like a fucking
I guess I didn't
firecracker.
even realize it was the meth lab.
What I clocked was that, yes, it explodes, but it explodes way too early.
Yes, it does.
Before
the car makes contact.
The pyro guy was a little trigger happy on that one.
And they only had one. They obviously only had one take to get it right, so they had to use that take.
So yeah, they used it from the take where like you see the back of the car front, and
director's just watching the dailies, just like good enough, I guess. Whatever, we gotta go.
We had too many noise complaints when we did it the first time. We're not rebuilding another shed.
And then I guess Dan Trejo is so fixated on the death of his brother. The destruction of his meth lab doesn't seem to bother him all that much, which is maybe why I didn't notice that was the meth lab that blew up. I thought it was just an abandoned building or whatever.
I liked how the meth lab explodes. And then it cuts to a shot of Danny Trejo waking up. Presumably from like the other side of town.
His brother sense fucking started tingling.
The psychic tether he has with his brother was severed. And
this was a funny shot where like the car explodes, his brother is dead, and then we cut to Danny Trejo slowly rising up in bed with a look on his face like, I don't know how I know, but I just know my brother has exploded somehow. And then from behind him, two women also sit up in the same bed. Yeah. It's just like a little bit of like, and he's just like very quiet. It's like, go back to sleep, bitches. I have to go mourn.
Gotta go take care.
I gotta go take care of business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the gang all meets up at that meth lab, and this is when we're introduced to the cop characters, like the sheriff who's on the take. The
other people who live in this town.
Yeah, the other two
guys.
Other
people who live in this town.
Yeah, it's
the sheriff and the deputy, who we don't find out until much later in the movie is the sheriff's son.
Yeah, I like when they dropped that, I was like, that's his fucking son, because we don't find that out right away. Not even a line of dialogue to hint at something like that. It
really necessarily matters, but it's just an element. With these four townspeople characters is the closest that this movie gets to like accidentally being like a real movie. Like there's like a few interactions just between like these townsfolk who have to like recognize the reality of this situation and have to
how they live with it.
How they live with it, and in particular, I liked this deputy. I thought this deputy was a good actor.
The deputy was probably not only like one of the better actors that's not Danny Trejo in this movie.
Yeah.
He's probably the closest movie has to a likable character.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because
he's got a cool name too. His name is
Hedge. Deputy Hedge.
Oh, I was gonna say the actor. His name is Adam Graydon Reed.
Ooh.
Without that Graydon in there, that's just like
Adam Reed.
Adam Reed, that could be anyone. You throw
Adam Graydon.
You throw the Graydon in there all of a sudden.
Yeah, so the dynamic is that the chief of police years ago looked the other way to the motorcycle crime, back when it was like the old motorcycle boss in charge of everything. Now that Danny Trejo is a part of it, he's a little more ruthless. And he
took over. He like came in and he took over and he like killed the charter member that everyone liked.
Yeah.
And then Danny Trejo came in and was all like, no, crime now.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
Yeah, and the chief has just been compromising his values over and over again to the point where he's just numb. And his deputy son won't have it. He's the
last honest cop in town.
Exactly, yeah.
So that gets set up, and that's now at like the midway point of the movie, we've now introduced all of our characters. So that's good economical storytelling.
There you go.
And then the movie spins its wheels for a considerable length of time. And the explanation that they give is that Danny Trejo doesn't want to automatically just kill Steve Austin because he might be an undercover Fed.
Yeah.
And then that would bring more heat to the town. So instead, they waste a lot of time, first by conscripting Kirby, the convenience store owner, into spying on Steve Austin,
which he does very poorly.
Well, and not only do they not give him any amount of time to really do anything or ingratiate himself to Steve Austin, like the next chance they get, they're just all like, "Nah, we're just gonna kill you."
Yeah.
It's all like, "Why did you even bother?" It's all like, "Kirby, you're holding out on us," and it's all like, "He's not really. What could you haven't given him enough time to do anything?" Like, give him the opportunity to actually, like...
investigate this guy, get to know Steve Austin a little bit more.
You haven't given him a platform to get you the information that you need.
Well, I searched his car and I found some newspaper clippings, and I guess he's from Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, but Trejo doesn't even ask that.
And that's shit that he already picks up from the chief of police, who runs a background check on him. So, yeah, but like that's also hindered by the fact that Steve Austin catches Kirby spying. Steve Austin gets more information from Kirby about the goings on in the history of the gang than he gets from Steve Austin.
I guess that's what they're talking about in terms of like, Kirby, you flipped on us, and it's all like, I don't know. Steve Austin seems like a pretty handsy guy. I feel like he could probably figure that out on his own. It's not like it's like ironclad information that he had to like open go digging through like the stacks to like find or anything like that. He don't look like he do much reading. But like, and then we cut to like Lachlan Monroe in like the next town over, and he's like finding stuff out. They find out that like Rex has been killed. And then they open the file on Danny Trejo, and the first thing they say is all like, he's like our number one most wanted criminal and everything. We can't touch him. And I'm just sitting there and I'm all like, he's in like a town, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just over there. Like he's not even hiding.
Yeah.
Like if he's like wanted for crimes.
Yeah.
Just go arrest him. He's right there. He's over there.
They say
you
that,
know where he is.
Like he's like the head of this bike gang that has chapters all over America, and he's the head of it all. You take him out.
Sure.
Then like your problems are essentially solved. Also, you're the goddamn FBI.
Yeah,
you're not gonna take an opportunity to go after this guy.
No one's gonna step in to take over the thing. If I've learned anything from watching the pilot of Sons of Anarchy, it's that when a leader steps down, no one fills that vacuum. That vacuum is open, and everyone just goes their separate ways.
Yeah. I mean, at this point of the movie, it's such a lull that all I really did was just like wrote down some bullet point stuff that that kind of like made me chuckle, or just like raw observations. There's a part where Danny Trejo is working a punching bag, but we see that it's actually one of his guys.
It's the guy he sent to look after his brother, and then
he's tied up into the punching bag, and he's just working the body now. And I was like,
again,
that's pretty good.
That's a very tropey thing. You introduce a goon early on, and then that goon fucks up, and then later on, I swear to God, we watched a movie on this podcast that had that exact thing happen, but I can't remember. Or maybe I've just seen it in something. Anyway, well,
going on.
There's
another lame fight between Stone Cold Steve Austin and a biker named Crab, which gave me an opportunity to write down Crab Battle. Remember that cartoon from the mid-2000s?
No.
Oh,
Crab Battle? That was a cartoon?
Yeah,
it
was like a Newgrounds thing for a long time.
Oh, okay.
It was like a meme.
It wasn't like a Teletoon thing.
No, it was like a parody of Metal Gear Solid, where Snake's crawling through the jungle or whatever, and then the guy on the radio says, "All right, Snake, the enemy target's right ahead," and he's looking in the wrong way, and he sees just a tiny crab, and he's like, "What? The crab? No, not the crab!" And then he just goes to knife it. And then the crab breaks the knife, and he says, "Oh, crab battle!" And then he's wrestling with a crab.
What's weird is that if I was playing a Metal Gear Solid game and I tried to attack a crab, I would not be surprised if the crab ended up attacking me. I would not be surprised if Hideo Kojima made the crab the strongest enemy in the game.
He's a bit of a madman.
That's some bullshit that he would absolutely pull. If you're playing Death Stranding 2 and a crab shows up,
run the other way.
Just leave him alone.
Yeah. And the last thing that I want to put down on here is there's this one part where Darcy is just having a bottle of Jack Daniels to herself, and she's admiring Steve Austin's car, and she offers him a sip of the Jack Daniels, and he says,
"I don't drink."
And I'm like,
you picked the wrong wrestler, buddy.
And I'm like, whoa, the guy who would just like randomly get 2 beer tossed from the crowd and downs them both at the same time.
I don't know much about Stone Cold Steve Austin. The one thing that I have picked up through osmosis is that man likes his beer. That much I know.
Interesting fact. He hates Budweiser and Bud Light. He thinks they taste like piss.
Well, he's not wrong.
He's absolutely not wrong. But like that was a sponsorship that they had, so he had to do that.
Oh, he had to specifically drink Bud Light?
I believe so, yeah.
Gross.
No wonder he was rebelling against...
That was the worst thing that Vince McMahon has ever
no wonder
done.
he rebelled against the authority there.
He does drink a little later on in the movie. He pours himself a nice glass of room temperature Syrah, which is very weird. It's very weird to see Stone Cold drink a glass of wine. I'm sure he enjoys a glass of wine here and there.
Oh, sure.
He's got a Stone Cold Shiraz.
Why does that happen? Like, Darcy invites him over for, like, a dinner or something?
And then he's late because he's fighting Danny Trejo, and then he shows up late, and he tells her his tragic backstory.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to
bunch of goons and clown masks shot up his family.
Yeah, it's the Punisher. We've seen the Punisher. It's the Punisher's backstory is what it is. Okay, we're here, so I wanted to talk about this. Okay, so... Stone Cold is an actor of limited talents.
Ooh, that is an understatement.
He really, he doesn't have access to really any emotions other than anger and annoyance.
And seething anger and annoyance.
Here's the thing. There is a brief flashback to when he was a family man, to when a group, he was having like a backyard barbecue because, again, fucking Punisher, and he was a cop. And, and, like, his wife loved him and his son loved him and whatever. This is, like, a very brief scene. I just need... Director Terry Mile, we needed you to get something out of Steve Austin in this moment. That's all we needed, and you could have, like, cut around it. You could have made it as short as possible. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, slip him some Molly or something. Like, get Stone Cold stoned out of his fucking mind and like positive and happy
and giggly and
put that blonde ass wig on him so he looks like he used to and everything like that. I just need one scene where Steve Austin's like, I love you, honey. Who wants veggie dog? Or something like that. Like I need a different tempo from him for like 5 seconds.
Doesn't his...
And then the rest of the performance is explained because his family got killed.
His humanity died with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, but he gives the exact same performance when he's a happy family man as when he's a tortured vigilante. It's the exact same note.
I think there's a part where like his wife goes to give him a hug and she's like, "I love you, honey," and he can't even muster an "I love you" back. Even as acting.
Me too.
Yeah,
I love my boy.
I love Steve.
And there was a missed opportunity here when she hugs him and then she feels the gun in his back jeans or whatever, and she says, "Can't you stop being a cop for just once?" Real missed opportunity for Steve Austin to be all like, "You're right, honey. I'll stop being a cop just this once."
And the moment he puts the gun down, that's when the guys in the clown
it's
masks
out of range. That's when the cops come out. It's like, "No, I'll stop being a cop for 1 second. Oh, now I'll never not be a cop."
You relax for a half a second.
So
the exact same thing happened with Jack Bauer in 24.
Absolutely.
He decided to call it quits once, and then a nuclear bomb went off in downtown LA. That's a real thing that happened.
Shouldn't have done that. And so 3 guys wearing clown masks come and shoot up this backyard barbecue, kill his wife, kill his son,
mortally wound him,
and then in a slow motion scene where the clowns are firing the machine guns, a 4th clown walks into frame.
A noticeably shorter clown.
Some might say a Trejo-sized clown walks into frame. And I'm sure this won't lead to anything, and it's just a coincidence, and we can just move on from that.
I can't believe they fucking did that. I can't believe they tied it in. Like in this scene, they're not even doing the reveal just yet, but I was like, oh, fuck
but
me.
But, you can see the reveal coming a mile away, even if they didn't have Trejo literally doing it. But to have him be with these 3 other regular-sized men, it's all like, I wonder what the twist is going to be.
In another state, perhaps years earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the shoot up of the like, this is still the flashback.
This is still the flashback.
He
Yeah.
after the funeral, he's looking at the graves of his
Of his wife and son,
yeah.
who are in the same grave. So I guess, like, on a cop's salary, he can only afford one coffin.
Yeah.
Buried both of them in the same coffin. It's a little weird that they're not two headstones.
I can't believe that his fucking chief or whatever said, like, I'll take all the time you need. Just a heads up that the feds are, like, doing this ongoing investigation, so they're not gonna help you out. But he okays the vigilante justice.
Well, it's not that he
because
okays...
it's that fucking trope.
It's not that he okays the vigilante justice. It's that they didn't shoot a scene that showed him either not or okaying the vigilante justice. It just cuts right before. Like, Steve Austin is just all like, where are they? Give me names. And then it cuts to him killing the 3 non-Trejo clowns, I guess. And then
he's on this vigilante war path, going town to town, cleaning up small towns.
Yeah. And I guess the implication is that he came to Hope for Rex.
Specifically for Rex.
And he didn't but, like, he surely must have... I don't know. We're getting a little too far ahead.
But I think I know what you're getting at here, because he specifically goes there for Rex. He must have known that he was brothers to the head of the most dangerous biker gang in America.
He has all the information that Lachlan Monroe has, so
he knows where to find him. He knows, presumably, what their whole deal is, how to get him alone, or even...
If only Ryan were readable. If only we could know what's going on behind those eyes.
Yeah, and Darcy says, like, well, you're really fucked up now. Like, the entire town is dead now because of you, so he decides he's going to stick around. Yeah. Because he already paid for the whole weekend.
The entire town is dead. All 4 fucking people who live there. I just want to briefly circle back to the fight that he has with Crab.
The Crab battle?
The Crab Man, who is... I'm a Crab Man! Who's like a guy, who's like a UFC guy, right? The Crab Man? I don't know.
He was a UFC fighter?
I'm going to look him up.
Oh, okay.
I definitely look. But it's in this scene here where Keith Jardine... Is that someone you've heard of?
Maybe.
He was in UFC. Anyway.
Okay, well, a lot of people are in the UFC.
It's the one person who is listening right now that's all like, this is a Jardine flick? Fuck!
Maybe Blake's mad at me for not knowing who that guy is.
The end of this fight where he lets Crab go back, lick his wounds, and go back to the biker gang or whatever. This is my favorite line in the movie, though, where Kirby is watching with his mouth open, and he says, "Where did you learn to fight like that?" And Stone Cold looks at him and says, "From fighting."
Where'd you learn to fight like that?
From fighting.
Yeah.
I paused. I paused the movie, because I'm like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. But it was great.
Experience is the best teacher,
I loved it. I've just never heard anything that dumb before in a while. That was just really good.
I'm just imagining now, like, Stone Cold Steve Austin going up to random people, taking a punch, and then, like, the next time he goes up, he doesn't go down in one punch, and he just, like, gradually gets better. He's been in, like, 1,000 fights at this point.
His, like, first fight, he, like, gets punched in the face. He's like, interesting. He's, writing in a notebook.
The next time he dodges, but he doesn't dodge the second time, so
like,
now he knows
okay.
he's gradually getting better.
Put in a little star here.
So long as we're still talking about Crab, I want to bring up this one part where Danny Trejo is right before they kill Kirby for failing in his mission to not getting the information in under 10 hours.
And also stealing the star rod from King Dedede.
What?
Kirby.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta, because he has to pay for that. Because King Dedede was just trying to unite the citizens of Dreamworld together, Jameson. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Danny Trejo has this interesting monologue about the covered wagon that would happen to him in prison the first night that he was in prison, just getting beat up.
Which may or may not just be a thing that happened to Danny Trejo.
The entire time he's delivering this monologue, Crab just has, like, the dumbest smirk on his face.
Right.
Did you clock that?
Oh, no, because I was watching Trejo.
Just, like the biggest side mouth to him. Oh, it made me laugh every time it happens. But yeah, they kill Kirby. They string him up on his tow truck hitch. Darcy is distraught. She grabs Deputy Hedges' gun on the scene, which is an arrestable offense, and she should be in jail.
Yeah, but the deputy...
But she's upset that her friend died.
Yeah. And also, there's like 2 cops in town, so like, what are they
True.
gonna do? Yeah, and yeah, Kirby was the deputy's friend too. Yeah, this brief moment when like the deputy steps out of his car and he sees Kirby hung up by the tow truck, and he's just like, my God, I'm all like, oh, this is like a movie. For a few seconds,
Yeah,
this is like a movie that I'm watching now. Oh wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And then there's Stone Cold who seeks retribution by going to the least rowdy biker bar I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty nice.
And I mean, there's probably like an old dude playing Keno in the back there. So nice. And they have probably one of the better fight scenes in the movie.
It's maybe the best fight in the movie. That's not really saying too much. It's
a pool hall fight.
We gotta continue talking about Crab. We're in Crab Corner now because this is entirely a Crab focused fight that's going on here. So the fight is set up. Crab is playing pool and he's about to like break or whatever, and like his biker buddies are like,
oh, he's about to break already.
They're razzing him or whatever and stuff. And what happens is he's like, shut up, I'm trying to make this shot. What's the term? You're a pool guy. What's the term? When he scratches the cue ball. That's what that's called, right?
When you don't hit with the ball that you're in, any of the balls that you're meant to hit,
he hits the cue ball too hard and it flies off of the table.
Oh, I don't know if there's a term for that.
Oh, there must be a term for that.
Right.
I don't know, but whatever. Crab does something like really embarrassing. He makes like one of the worst shots you can make in pool. You're supposed to keep the balls on the table, and he fails to do that.
The cue ball goes flying off the table. Stone Cold catches it.
Right.
He's in the right place at the right time.
I just want to talk about like the alternate universes where one, Stone Cold wasn't standing there.
We're talking string theory now.
And the ball just fucking like bounces and Crab is just embarrassed. Or B, the other alternative
he was there, but he didn't catch it?
Yeah, but I didn't even think about that. That's kind of funny. He just flies by. Or I was just thinking Crab doesn't send the cue ball flying. He just like does like a regular like pool shot. And then Stone Cold just has to continue standing there. Like no one notices him.
Not an opportunity to do something cool.
Like, I didn't know. No, but he just so happens to be in the
right place at the right time.
Perfect spot.
For the coolest move. And,
It's so much had to happen for that to look cool.
A perfect blend of circumstances came together in a wonderful moment for
There's
Steve
no way
Austin.
he could have planned for that.
No.
There's no way he could have known that was...
They would have to coordinate that together for something like that to happen. But yeah, they have a good pool hall fight scene, and it ends with him beating up Crab, taking him to the biker bar, and setting him on fire and leaving him for dead.
Yeah, they definitely set that dude on fire.
Yeah.
They definitely set Keith Jardine on fire. It's hard to think that was like a stunt person because he's a bald man and
the bald cap and everything.
He definitely looks like he had like flame retardant gel on him or whatever. But yeah, that's definitely what that guy is doing. Yeah. I guess maybe that doesn't have a hop and squat. I guess it's called a hop and squat. Okay. I don't know. Pool sharks.
All right. Well, sports bomb.
Leave a comment. Sports bomb. That's a sport, not a game.
Billiards.
It's on TV.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah. At this point, Lachlan Monroe has come into town.
Oh, right. He's in this movie.
He's in this movie. There is an earlier scene where Danny Trejo says to the chief of police, I want you to do everything to keep the feds away from this town. And then, out of the blue, the feds just arrive on their own accord. And he runs into the deputy doing shooting practice by himself, just shooting cans in the middle of a field. And they kind of talk about, what's going on in this town. Yeah, you're an honest cop, aren't you, and everything. But what I want to talk about is the scene ends because deputy is doing the shooting himself. But Lachlan Monroe, apropos of nothing, takes the gun and takes the final shot. And I'm like, why the fuck? What a weird flex.
But it's gonna come back later.
Unfortunately,
it does.
It does.
Like, it's not in a satisfying way, but
No,
but like,
not at all.
they did weirdly set up a thing that they did not need to be set up at all. Because even as we're discussing the plot of this movie that I watched yesterday, I'm continuing to forget that Lachlan Monroe is a character in this movie, and he's an actor that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
So the biker gang ambush Darcy and Stone Cold
at the hotel.
At the motel. There's another kind of funny line where after they get away from like a bunch of thugs outside of the hotel, Stone Cold crashes through a door, and then Darcy, hot on his heel, says,
"You know that door wasn't locked, right?"
And it's like, so that didn't make me laugh, but I did note that it was a funny line and that it was delivered well by the actress.
Yes.
But it didn't make me laugh when I'm all like, oh, funny line. One of those.
Yeah, it's one of those, I know this movie's trying to tell a joke, but this is not the kind of movie that, you drop quips in.
If that had worked, that would have been a funny moment, but didn't work.
At all.
But you know what? Here's a cookie. Good for trying.
Whenever this movie tries to be funny, I just get a weird feeling from it. It's way too dark and takes itself way too seriously.
And it's confusingly in this moment that the biker gang overwhelms Stone Cold Steve Austin and take him prisoner, even though later on in the movie we will see him fight a much bigger gang of people entirely by himself with really no problem whatsoever. And in fact, at this point, we've seen him fight an entire bar full of people with no problem. So I don't know how they get the jump on him now.
I don't know.
Other than the fact that the movie says they need to.
Yeah, at this point, he has to get
this
captured.
is the point in the movie where he gets captured by the bad guy.
Yeah.
But there's no, they haven't given us a good enough reason as to why now is the moment that he gets captured.
Yeah, so they take him to the ferry, and he's tied up to a chair with zip ties, and Danny Trejo says that he's going to kill Darcy or something. Gonna kill Steve Austin last or something.
He's gonna do some villain stuff. I don't know.
He leaves him alone in the room, though, with that same Proby that Steve Austin...
Handsome man,
the guy who almost killed the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy gave me some real intense creeper vibes. In the very limited monologue that he had, I was like, ooh, I'm getting chills from this guy. Please kill this guy.
Well, yeah, you just know that he's only here to whip Stone Cold into a frenzy of anger and whatnot. So yeah, of course he snaps through the twist ties,
which should be impossible even for a guy like Steve Austin.
And this guy doesn't even this pledge guy doesn't even really get that satisfying of a death. In fact, I feel like he gets like an off-screen shotgun blast to the head.
I think you're right, yeah,
or something like that. It's he's been set up the entire movie as like a minor antagonist.
Yeah, just
and
like
he doesn't get a very good send off.
No, and he's just like this slimy weasel kind of guy that you hate to see sucker punch Steve Austin when he can't defend himself. So yeah, you're happy to see him dead, and he just, by all accounts, just seems like an asshole anyways. At one point, doesn't Steve Austin get stabbed in the heart and he still keeps going?
I don't know if he gets stabbed in the heart. He definitely gets stabbed at one point.
Yeah.
He doesn't have
stabbed in the chest.
He has the type of body mass that I imagine, like, if you did stab him, it might take a while before, like, the pain sets in or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. All of these wrestlers with like these intense beefcake chests or whatever, like whenever someone gets a knife in it or whatever, like you can imagine like The Rock at his beefiest, if someone stabs him, he's just
a
all
bullet's
like,
not going to penetrate that skin.
No. I believe they proved that in several of his movies.
Yeah.
He gets shot and then just walks off at this point, and he's not even Shazam or whatever the fuck character he is.
Yeah.
So Austin escapes and he beats up like 20 guys. not he gets stabbed at one point, but really it doesn't even break a sweat.
Yeah.
He saves Darcy.
Megan Fox light.
Yep, absolutely. And then the showdown happens.
Your main event
between Danny Trejo, and I was disappointed that they didn't bring that electric cage back. Why would you?
Why the fuck did you not bring back the electric cage?
Why set that up early on if that's not where the fucking climax of the movie is going to happen?
That's a weird choice. Did they lose the material for it?
And then
I don't know.
Seemingly, the way movies work is that you get a location and then you film out of order. So I imagine that they would, if they had planned to do that, no, they would have just been there. So.
You know why they did that?
Well.
They decided they want to have it in some kind of utility room where there are a lot of tools. Yeah. So they can have that really one stupid visual gag where they're going for weapons. And what does Danny Trejo go for? He goes for a machete. But he doesn't even use the machete.
Well, no, because
we just want to have a shot of him holding up a machete.
That's the thing. Is like Stone Cold has him on the ropes, so he leans over. What? I gotta get a weapon. What's this? A machete. And then he goes, "No, you know what? This one time, I'm not gonna use.
I'm going for a fucking scythe.
He gets a scythe or whatever, and then and then he's the bad guy, and he gets killed. And I'm all like, you should have gone for that machete. Yeah. There's a reason.
I like how we're so ingrained with Danny Trejo as Machete that we're not pronouncing machete
No.
as the way that...
I've seen both of those movies. I know for a fact the way that word is pronounced is machete.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to say that. He says the word machete like 80 times in those movies. Trust me, I know how you say that word.
And
now.
every other character says machete
Yes.
like 80 times in that movie.
Except for the dumb white Americans who
Yeah.
say machete, and that's the point.
That's who we are.
Exactly. So yeah, and
But they have a brutal fight.
Well-
There's one part where like they tape Stone
Oh,
Cold.
God. Yeah.
They duct tape
a
their
weird
arms
move,
together.
a weird flex
Yeah.
from him.
So they can have like a fucking bare knuckle boxing match
I
together.
guess. Okay, so I gotta go back because there's something I wanted to bring up here. So before this like final fight happens between again a giant man in like his early 50s and like an old man who's
In
like
his
late 70s.
Yeah.
Before that happens, Danny Trejo, what's his name? Drake.
You could have just said Danny Trejo.
I know. But Drake says, like, you remember me now?
Oh,
and then
yes.
we see the other half of the flashback where the clown is standing over what I assume he assumes is a dying Steve Austin, even though he didn't do the obvious, they didn't take a headshot or anything like that. But he pulls the mask off, and we get the amazing, shocking reveal. The villain of the movie is the villain of the movie? What?
Yeah.
But I was confused in that moment. I'm still a little confused, because Danny Trejo's all like, you remember me now, huh? And I'm like, didn't he always remember him? Wasn't that the point?
The way that Danny Trejo explains it, it sounds like he didn't recognize Steve Austin at first.
Which also I'm calling major bullshit on.
Yeah.
He's a very recognizable person.
I'm getting the impression that these two guys forgot each other. These two characters forgot the faces, and it's only now when they're like interacting, and it's like, oh yeah, it's you, isn't it? You're the guy. Oh.
Silly! You killed my wife and child.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
my
the
God.
guy whose family I massacred?
Well, I don't
Oh.
know. The thing is like Steve Austin is just such an unreadable fucking screen presence. I don't know how early he figured out that Danny Trejo was the one that killed his family. I don't know if he figured it out as soon as he saw him at the club. I don't know if he's just realizing it now, and this is like a big revelation. I have no fucking idea, because Steve Austin, to be blunt, can't act. And like I feel like this is what I texted you last night. It's all like, look, can Steve Austin be used successfully in a movie? Sure.
Yeah.
Is Steve Austin a leading man? No. He is not. He is a singularly off-putting presence. He looks psychotic. He looks like a bad dude. Like you gotta cast him as a henchman. You gotta cast him as a creature or some sort.
Or just have him embody that yelling Stone Cold Steve Austin's the stereotype where he's just getting in everybody's face.
Or cast him against type. That's the thing that I haven't fucking seen, is I haven't seen anyone cast him against type as like the nice neighbor man.
I think he knows in his heart he couldn't sell that.
I know.
And he knows that's not using his abilities to the best.
But maybe that's the joke. The joke is like, you gotta beat my neighbor, he's the nicest guy, he's always helping out, and then it's stone-faced fucking Steve Austin the entire time. It's like, hey neighbor, I picked up your mail for you.
Maybe
like bring some Michael Shannon energy into it. I don't know.
Maybe that's the case. Bring that kind of really intense energy, but in a comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think he's so protective of that image and that persona that he would never touch like a goofy comedy. Like,
and the
Kinsey's Island.
And the goofy comedies he has been in, he has played like serious, not funny straight characters. So, although I haven't seen Grown Ups 2, maybe he's hilarious in that.
Maybe.
Who knows?
So Steve Austin kicks the shit out of Danny Trejo.
He duct tapes Danny Trejo to himself, seemingly so Danny Trejo doesn't grab that machete.
No, so he can't get away.
Yeah.
He just wants to pummel him.
And then Steve Austin punches Danny Trejo in the face, and then
knocks him out, but
Danny Trejo punches Steve Austin in the face, and then Steve Austin punches Danny Trejo in the face.
That's
and then
how those bare knuckle fights work.
Danny Trejo punches Steve Austin in the face, and then Steve Austin punches Danny Trejo in the face. And then
Steve Austin punches him hardest of all, and then Danny Trejo goes down.
This goes on for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This was a really boring way to end this movie. It's just two guys punching each other in the face over and over and over again. And it's wild.
Yeah.
And then Steve Austin punches him the hardest, and he goes down.
Yeah, but
this
he's not out.
He's not down for the count. This is hilarious.
He comes back up. Like, what is Darcy? Says,
Darcy
you want to make sure that he's down, and that in that moment, Danny Trejo leaps up.
No, not even in that moment. Like the camera cuts to Darcy. Darcy says, "You should finish the job." They always come back for one more, and then before she can finish her sentence, we cut back to Steve Austin. Trejo is already up. Mm-hmm. So that means that during the time that Darcy was looking at Steve Austin and saying those words, Trejo was immediately up, getting situated, pulling his gun out.
The oldest man in the movie gets up.
He moves like greased lightning. It's ridiculous.
Quick reflexes.
So he's already up by the time the camera cuts back to it. I guess he's about to stab Steve Austin. Maybe he has a thing.
But luckily, he is shot from off camera by who?
Not the deputy who has a reason.
Actual personal stakes in killing him.
This is why we needed to know earlier the all important scene that Lachlan Monroe can fire a gun, because it cuts. Danny Trejo gets shot. He goes down, and it cuts to Lachlan Monroe holding a gun. And I audibly said, "Fuck off, Lachlan Monroe! You're not in this movie. You don't get to be in this movie, Lachlan Monroe. Fuck you."
That is such an unsatisfying conclusion. That is so unsatisfying.
I know. This guy who's not even a character.
You set up this sympathetic deputy character with a righteous mindset who wants to avenge his father because he's compromised his entire life.
We forgot to mention the sheriff commits suicide.
Yeah, the sheriff commits suicide.
So the deputy is technically the sheriff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he never gets that moment of redemption. Like he's had a scene earlier with Danny Trejo where you could feel the tension. Lachlan Monroe, does he even know what Danny Trejo? He saw a picture of him. He shows up into town, saves the goddamn day,
He's
and
just
leaves.
A big swinning dick from the big city who just comes in and takes all the credit for the hours of police work that the deputy has put in.
Yeah, he's lived in this town. He's had to live under the specter of the motorcycle gang.
Some fucking bullshit is what it is.
Oh, I fucking hated that. God damn, that pissed me off.
And then Lachlan Monroe confronts Steve Austin outside of a BC ferry that clearly says BC ferry with a BC flag, and he says I'm gonna get you, but not today.
We got no evidence to book you on those fucking vigilante charges,
and I'm sitting there going, really?
Yeah.
Seems like there's a mountain of evidence.
First of all, I'm sure Steve Austin's blood is all over the place. You got a couple of witness testimonies around here. I'm sure you got fingerprints. I'm sure if you were to dust the entire area, say the chair or any of the weapons you used, or even Danny Trejo's body.
We got no evidence, and cuts to a guy literally dusting for fingerprints and Lachlan Monroe.
Chief, we got plenty of evidence.
Steve, fuck off. Go away. We're not doing that.
Yeah. Fucking Darcy and the deputy say that they're going to stick around town. This town needs new leadership. We need to repopulate the town.
Yeah, exactly, because there's no one else. We're literally the only two people. This was a population of 4.
Yeah.
4 that were not affiliated with the motorcycle gang.
Yeah.
We gotta get busy. Yeah, exactly.
Steve Austin is just about to go back onto his murder hobo ways when Darcy comes up to and gives him the sloppiest fucking explanation of why the movie's called Recoil.
Because she was firing guns with her late husband, and she said, the thing I hate most is the recoil, because it gives you bruises.
But eventually you get used to it.
Eventually you don't get bruises, and I'm all like, that's good metaphor.
Yeah.
I really didn't need you to explain why the movie was called Recoil.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. And then that's the fucking movie.
I'm just imagining these other movies that Steve Austin is in now. That's he's shooting guns or whatever. It's that's a real tactical force. You gotta have some conviction to go through a thing like that. One might even say maximum conviction. Oh, those sure were some grown-ups too. I don't know.
Those enemy combatants sure were expendables. Yeah. Boy, now you got me.
Now you need all of them. Yeah. What else did we forget to talk about? This fascinating movie.
I noticed that there's a part where, just to get a sort of a read on the motorcycle gang and their whole operations, Steve Austin is eavesdropping on them as they're loading guns or drugs in and out of a truck or something.
Yeah.
And I overhear one of the bikers saying to one of the guys loading the trucks, "Quit lollygagging."
Yeah.
And I'm like, Is that really the terminology a hardened biker is going to use? Lollygagging?
Well, they clearly gave that. They gave
from
that,
a biker?
They didn't give that actor any like proper dialogue or prompts or stuff to say. It's just like, we just need you to do generalized thug language here.
Indubitably, sir.
The only thing that I wanted to write down is during the opening credit. The opening credits made me laugh just because of the way they were worded. I just laughed at the fact that the two opening credits were Nasser Group North presents a Nasser Group North presentation. That made me laugh.
Yeah.
That was like it's a little redundant, but whatever.
Well, somebody had to present
No,
it, I guess.
we have to credit it twice. They have to be credited
People
twice.
need to know who's responsible for this.
Yes. Blame the Nassers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Jameson, does Recoil have a certain something, or is it just a whole lot of nothing?
It's a lot of nothing.
It's a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, an hour and 32 minutes of nothing.
Yeah, like I was saying before, the action is very unspectacular in something like this. I thought I was kind of shocked at how serious something like this would take it. I don't know why I went into it expecting something akin to like, Walking Tall degree.
Yeah.
But like, to judge it on its own merits, no, it just kind of didn't stick with any one tone. Like the weird jokes were dropped, interesting subplots, like particularly with the deputy and with the Megan Fox type, mourning her husband. I thought maybe she would have been like announced that, I've been practicing firearms training, and I would have actually done something to help out in the action scenes, that I wouldn't just be a damsel in distress. You didn't get anything like that.
She was a damsel in distress, but I am thankful that they didn't and there were a couple of characters they could have engineered a romance with, and I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad they didn't engineer a romance with Steve Austin. They were just like two fractured souls who were helping each other out. They could have engineered a romance between her and the deputy, and they didn't go that route. So it's like a minor plus that I'll give the movie.
I guess my main thing is that there were no truly likable characters to root for that would have like a satisfying arc
or root against.
Or to root against. I mean, Danny Trejo was a joy to watch.
Yeah, but he always is.
But like, you're not supposed to root for the villain. So
in a good movie you are, but yeah, this ain't one of them. Yeah. Yeah, I love Trejo. I'll watch him in pretty much anything, but I don't. This is the first time we've covered a Stone Cold on this podcast. I don't know if we need to cover him again. I feel like this movie has given us the basic idea of what a Stone Cold movie is.
Yeah, we've seen the template for what I imagine all the other movies.
I imagine they're all basically this.
And I imagine maybe some of them will have, been written by people who have actually seen a movie before, who will know that some characters need arcs, but you can't have the fucking villain killed by a guy who he has no beef with.
You can. But it's not.
You're not supposed to.
It's not satisfying. Yeah. There are better versions of this. I mean, this movie just reminded me of so many other things. It reminded me of Desert Heat. Did you watch Reacher? Season 1 of Reacher?
No, but I saw Jack Reacher in theaters.
Yeah. So Jack.
Which was stupid, but I loved it.
Yeah, I mean the first Jack Reacher Tom Cruise movie is really good. The Amazon TV show is actually pretty good, and again, it's very similar to this fucking plot of this movie. He goes to a small town. There's like a gang there,
and it's a one-man army.
He's got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening here. And I feel like that's the plot of most of these direct-to-DVD things, because you can rent a small town. You can get a film crew up there.
Sure,
it's easy.
You can choreograph a couple of fight scenes. You can do this style of movie quite well. There's not a lot of them, and they seem to be very easily. They're easy formulas to screw up.
Yeah,
let's say.
But hey, some people like this formula, and if you like this formula, this is one of them.
Please don't beat us up.
If you're watching, you could do it. Yeah. We're not strong. Yeah.
Way to defend yourself, Kaz.
No,
we're just gonna roll over.
welcome to the podcast. I'm Kaz, and you can fight me. You can do it
and win. Apparently.
I won't fight back. I'll just curl up into a ball. You can just kick my. I'm very soft and spongy.
This movie does offer an opportunity to survive one round in a match against Danny Trejo in an electric cage, and your debt will be wiped clean. I would probably take that fight. I mean, I would.
If you were fighting out, I wouldn't be able to do it. I couldn't lay hands on Danny Trejo.
I would get No.
That would be like fighting Yoda. Couldn't do it.
I would take one punch and take a dive, and then my debt is white clean.
And then Danny Trejo just stomps the shit out of you because he knows the rules, and he's all like, his debt has been paid.
And there's a thing that fucking the asshole that he is, Conor McGregor, used to keep saying in the UFC, which was, "I'll fight anybody. I'll make you a millionaire," because all his fights would be like $1 million paydays. So it's like, that's an enticing offer. Survive one round. I mean, it's what, like 5 minutes of your life, and then you're rich.
I want to say one more thing before we end the episode.
Sure.
I want to put this out into I want to put the energy out into the universe that I want to see in the world, whatever. Because I don't know the last time. I don't know the next time we'll get to talk about Trejo. I mean, we can review a Trejo movie anytime we want. There's so many of them.
Power to talk about Trejo next if we want to.
But I want to talk about this. So. The Mario movie came out recently, and I followed Danny Trejo on Instagram, and I guess he went to like an early screening of the movie, and Illumination sent him like a big gold coin. And there's a very adorable little video of Danny Trejo, naturally with his shirt off, because he usually has his shirt off. And he's holding the big coin over his head, and he's going all like, "Illumination, thank you for the coin.
I got a big gold coin, yeah!
Put me in the Mario movie. Put me in the sequel. I'll be a cousin." And then I'm all like, and I thought about it, so I'm putting this out into the universe. Danny Trejo for Wario. I think it's a left field. I don't feel like it's like kind of a left field casting choice. But the more I think about it, the more I really like it.
John Leguizamo as Waluigi.
That was the next thing that I was gonna bring up, Jameson. Is like you get fucking Danny Trejo in there. You gotta cast someone similar of the same background as him. And John Leguizamo he says, like, I didn't watch the first animated Mario movie because I'm not happy that there's no Latinx representation in it. I would be in the sequel if there was more representation. This is how you fix it. Danny Trejo as Wario, John Leguizamo as Waluigi. He was Luigi. How can you cast anyone else in that role? And they're both amazing voice actors, and they would both kill it. So that's what I want to put out into the universe. Put Trejo as Wario 2025.
You hear that, Nintendo?
Do it. Get on it.
All right.
And there we go. Now I've solved the problem of Latinx representation in Hollywood. And that was Recoil from 2011, directed by Terry Miles. Call us, sir, please.
Yeah.
Please,
give us podcasting tips.
Give us, honestly, Terry Miles.
The best time to ring him up was like, what, 96 episodes ago? The next best time to do it was right now.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When I found out that he was a guy. Yo, Terry Miles, seriously, if you want to, if you've listened to this and are outraged at what we've had to say over the movie that you directed, yes, please, by all means, give us some tips and podcasts, because we've been doing this for 5 years, and we're still bumbling around in the dark over here. But
we're right back where we started, literally, my apartment.
Hey. But it's good. It's, you know what? It's nice having the WrestleMania episodes in your apartment, because it does take me back to when we started this whole rigmarole, and that's, as we mentioned, that's it for this year. That's another WrestleMania in the bag. We barely made it.
I mean, the episode's not out yet, man.
No, but we'll get there. We have
right.
a pretty big turnaround. But after this, we'll be back to normal, and we're a couple episodes away from episode 100. Still need to think of what we're going to review for that. Maybe we won't make a big deal out of it. Maybe it'll just be a regular old episode. Who knows?
Well,
we can do whatever we want.
I'll make a big deal out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be Trejo.
Maybe it'll be Trejo.
Well, now that I've said that, now I feel like
no.
You know what?
You're putting that out there?
It won't be Trejo.
Yeah.
Just for that. Never again.
So
no.
screw you, everybody.
But that was this episode, and that's nothing movies.
What have we learned about?
About wrestlers?
About wrestlers this go around at the end of a trilogy.
Some of them are better in front of the camera than others.
I've learned that made-for-TV movies featuring wrestlers are a lot better than made-for-streaming movies.
Made-for-DVD movies, yeah, exactly, yeah, if they ended up... I learned that more wrestling entertainment should come with commercials from 1991.
Yeah.
That was the highlight. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We learned things. We learned a lot of things on this podcast. It's an educational podcast, and you can listen to it on Spotify or on YouTube, and follow us on all the social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is still a thing. Next episode, episode. It won't be wrestling related, but I have an idea about what we're going to do and about who the guest is, and I'm really excited about that. So until then, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Jameson, and in the immortal words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Can't believe we did an entire episode about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and only now were we bringing up the fucking 3:16 thing.
Dude, that shit was everywhere back in the day, and that blew up overnight when he did that.
I actually wrote that down as all like, ask Jameson.
Bring up 3:16.
Ask Jameson what 3:16 means. Oh shit, we're out of time. Oh no.
Until next year.